He doesn't realize he's dying, not in the dramatic one moment and it's over kind of way, but in the long, drawn-out, decaying kind of way. The kind of death that looks a lot like life. He wakes up, eats the same food, scrolls the same feed, goes to work, says not bad when asked how he is. He exists, but he doesn't live. This is the death that comes in silence. Not through trauma, but through repetition. Not through pain, but through the absence of it. Through comfort. He tells himself he's playing it safe, that he's not ready, that now isn't the time to take risks, to explore, to grow. He's waiting for clarity, for motivation, for a sign. But none of that is coming, because it never was. And what he hasn't realized is this: the longer he waits to live, the more he trains himself to settle for dying. One missed opportunity at a time. One abandoned dream at a time. One excuse at a time. Not dramatic, not noticeable, just slow, until the spark is gone, until everything starts to feel heavier, until nothing excites him. Not because he's seen it all, but because he's seen none of it up close. Because he only ever watched. He didn't enter, and if you try to tell him this, he'll nod, but he won't hear you. He'll say things like, "Yeah, I know," but he doesn't. Not in his bones, not in the part of him that's still alive under all that numbness. He thinks he's tired. He thinks it's burnout. He thinks maybe he needs a break. But what he actually needs is a rebirth. You were trained to rot, quietly, politely, and with a smile. No one sat you down and said, "Here's how to waste your life." They didn't need to. The training was baked into everything. At home, you were told to be good. At school, you were told to be quiet. In church, you were told to be obedient. And in the office, you were told to be grateful. You weren't taught to question. You were taught to cope, to survive the dullness, to tolerate the mediocrity, to see routine as responsibility, repetition as righteousness, and ambition as arrogance. Every system around you, family, education, government, encouraged you to settle, and the ones who didn't. They were framed as reckless, immature, disloyal. They rocked the boat. But here's the part they didn't mention. That same boat is sinking, and most people would rather drown together in silence than climb out alone and be called crazy. You were trained to keep your head down, to blend in, to fit, even if it meant shrinking. And every time you said yes when you meant no, every time you chose comfort over courage, you weren't just protecting yourself, you were rehearsing for death. You were teaching your nervous system that safety matters more than selfhood. That stillness is strength. That sameness is sanity. And it worked. You got better at enduring, better at distracting yourself, better at rationalizing the emptiness inside you. So now, years later, you can't even tell when you're emotionally starving, because they trained you to call it peace. He thinks he's avoiding pain, but what he's really doing is paying it off on a plan so slow he doesn't notice the debt piling up. He tells himself it's fine, that it's not that bad, that he's managing. But he's not. He's tired all the time, not the kind of tired that sleep can fix, but the kind that comes from carrying a life that doesn't fit him. His energy's gone. His spark's gone. He starts resenting people who do live, who chase things, who risk being laughed at. Because deep down, he knows he used to want more too. But now he's settled for watching weeds grow around the dream he never had the nerve to water. He eats the same food, talks to the same people, sits in the same pub every Saturday, drinking the same pint, laughing at the same jokes, telling himself, this is just what life is. But it's not. It's what death looks like when you put it in slow motion, and while he thinks he's safe, he's not. He's rotting. His creativity is shrinking. His thinking is looping. His health is declining. His confidence is quietly bleeding out. And the real tragedy, no one will stop him. Because this kind of decay doesn't make noise. It doesn't scream, it doesn't explode. It just hums, quietly, comfortably, until he disappears, long before his heart actually stops beating. He worked in logistics, clock in, clock out, safe, predictable. He'd been there 16 years. Everyone said he was dependable. He liked that word, dependable. It made him feel useful. Until it didn't. There was a moment, just a tiny one, when he realized he'd become part of the furniture. Sitting in the break room, eating the same ham sandwich he'd eaten every Monday for years. Same folded napkin. Same half-listened to radio. And across from him sat a new hire, 23, scrolling on his phone, half listening, not caring. He looked at the kid and thought, that used to be me, curious, ambitious, ready to go somewhere. Now he was just there, anchored. Hands didn't build anything anymore. His mind didn't stretch. He hadn't learned anything new in over a decade. You count the updated coffee machine, but he didn't complain. He told himself the same things everyone tells themselves. It pays the bills. It's just a job. Other people have it worse. And, yeah, they do. But since when was that the benchmark? His body had started aching in weird places. He was tired before the day even started. His laugh had a delay. He was alive, technically, but it felt like his soul had been left in a lay-by, somewhere around 2012. The worst part, he still had dreams, little ones, barely breathing now. He used to sketch, used to run, used to want to open a tiny music shop, nothing fancy, just something his. But he told himself, maybe later, and maybe later became a habit, then a lifestyle, then a legacy. He didn't need a crisis to derail him. He just needed time to pass. Change never begins with peace. It starts with irritation, a flicker, a twinge, a deep, low growl in the chest that says, I can't keep doing this. It's not dramatic. It's not an Instagrammable breakthrough with incense and ocean views. It's a Wednesday afternoon at 3:47 p.m. You're staring at an inbox you don't care about, fielding a request that means nothing, and something inside you snaps. Not loud, not visible, but real. He doesn't throw his chair across the room. He doesn't rage quit or book a one-way ticket to Bali. But something shifts. And here's what most people miss, that shift isn't clarity. It's frustration. Not at the world, at himself. At the years he lost pretending he didn't mind. At how long he played dead, just to make others comfortable. At the time he'll never get back. That frustration has energy. It's the first real pulse he's felt in months. And for a second, just a second, he realizes something. If he doesn't move now, if he doesn't do something different, he's going to waste the rest of his life talking about how little time he has. The illusions start to crack. I'll do it when I have more money. When the kids are older. When I've got more energy. Lies, delays. Comfort-drenched cowardice dressed up as caution. And he sees it. That's the moment. The heartbeat of awakening. When the excuses taste bitter in his mouth. When regret becomes heavier than fear. When he realizes the pain of staying is finally worse than the risk of leaving. It's not about motivation. It's not even about clarity. It's about refusing to rot one more bloody day. There's a reason people don't leave. Not because they can't, but because they believe they can't. It's called learned helplessness. And it's more common than most people dare admit. Here's how it works. You try something, you fail. You try again. You fail again. Eventually you stop trying, not because it's impossible, but because you've trained your brain to expect failure. You learn that effort doesn't matter, that risk isn't worth it, that maybe the problem is you. This mental conditioning was first studied in animals. They were placed in a cage, given small shocks, and offered no way to escape. Eventually, when an exit was introduced, wide open, they didn't even try. They stayed, because suffering had become familiar, predictable, safe. Humans do the same thing. They stay in the job they hate, the relationship that drains them, the identity that no longer fits. Not because it's good, but because they've forgotten what freedom feels like. They tell themselves, I've already tried. It didn't work before. I'm not that kind of person. People like me don't do things like that. But none of that is true. It's just old evidence, replayed like a broken record. Evidence gathered under different conditions, from a different version of themselves. And here's the cruelty of it. Even when conditions change, even when opportunity knocks, they won't see it. They're not looking for exits. They're looking for proof that it's still not safe to hope. Learned helplessness doesn't just kill ambition, it kills vision. And once a man stops imagining a different future, he doesn't need chains. He'll build his own prison, brick by brick, thought by thought. The door isn't locked, but he's convinced himself it is. And until he challenges that belief, until he acts against the feeling of futility, he'll stay exactly where he is, breathing, working, functioning, but not living. If you want to live, you're going to have to do something that feels unnatural at first, not big, not heroic, just different, because this isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the system trained it out of you. Start small. Rattle the routine. Wake up and don't touch your phone. Drive a different route. Write something you're scared to admit. Cancel a plan you're dreading. Say no, and don't explain why. That friction you feel, that discomfort, that's life coming back online. And the more you lean into it, the more you realize how numb you've been. You don't need a 5-year plan. You need to move, because action breaks the trance. It interrupts the story your nervous system's been looping. Stay here. It's safer. Change will kill you. Staying here is what's killing you. The problem isn't lack of energy, it's misdirection. You've been burning all your fuel on suppressing the truth. That you want more. That you are more. That there's a version of you still alive under all the resignation. But he's trapped. And only you can get him out. It starts with one uncomfortable action. Apply for the job. End the stale relationship. Take the class. Book the ticket. Make the call. Say the truth. Whatever it is, do it before you feel ready. You're not supposed to feel ready. Readiness is a scam sold by people who never moved either. You don't need certainty. You need movement. And once you move, just once, you create evidence. And once you have evidence, you start to rebuild belief. And belief, over time, becomes freedom. He's not who he was. He still wakes up in the same house, still drinks his morning coffee, still pays bills and answers emails. But something's different now. There's a pulse in his day, a hum, a thread of tension, like a stretched muscle slowly waking up. He doesn't run from discomfort anymore. He invites it. He understands now that pain isn't the enemy. It's the proof he's no longer numb. He starts doing things that don't guarantee success. He says things that might make people uncomfortable. He tries things that scare him, and in doing so, he begins to trust himself again. Not because he knows the outcome, but because he knows he'll face it, whatever it is. He no longer lives to avoid dying. He lives to become unignorable. He's no longer waiting to be rescued. He is the rescue. The old version of him, the one who settled, who hid, who decayed politely in comfort, he's still there, whispering doubts. But that voice doesn't command him anymore, because now he remembers what it feels like to choose. He's seen too much now, felt too much, awoken too much. He can't go back. And when people ask what changed, he doesn't have a neat answer. He just smiles, because the truth isn't in what he did. It's in who he refused to remain. And in that refusal, he finally became something real.